Thank you.
Kim.
Okay. Appears that on our tentative agenda, first up is our solid waste budget for approval. Darrell?
Any questions?
No, I haven't seen it.
What's that? Nothing's changed from that.
Nothing has changed from our public hearing on it. It's Fund Code 8210, Solid Waste Management. For the adoption is $780,840.
I would move we approve their budget for 2018.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Thank you.
We can't do anything about it.
Next up on our agenda is the adoption of our ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rate for 2018. Have any questions on it? I'll entertain a motion for adoption.
I move we adopt the, what do we call it now? We got an ordinance for that number.
Ordinance number is 2017-11.
20 days that we don't.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Second. We're open for discussion. Hearing no discussion, those in favor of the adoption signify by your right hand. Opposed, the same. John Myers, I believe you are up next.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. You should have a copy of the memorandum that I prepared, included in your packet. We had a request from Advanced Material Design, which is a subsidiary of Fort Wayne Metals. They're located out in the Gateway Industrial Park, requesting a phase-in of their property taxes on $12 million worth of equipment for a project that they're looking at putting in the facility out here. As you can see, the project will add 15 new jobs that are good paying jobs, really good paying jobs. They're going to add capacity to produce alloys and composite materials for the wire that they produce for the medical device industry. Again, primarily in the area in Fort Wayne and Warsaw. I think the numbers are fairly conservative because we based I based the income tax receipts coming off of the new employment on their current employment and residency numbers for the facility currently. But I think as the new high school's built and we can see the continued growth in the community, new houses being built, I think there's probably a likelihood that percentage continues to go up. I also, based on the discussions that we had in the July meeting, I added language in the resolution to give the council an opportunity when you do your annual compliance review for whether people are complying with their abatement requests. Gives you the opportunity to also consider whether the company has filed for, which typically takes place about the same time, but has filed for a request for a reassessment of the property that's part of the part of the abatement. So again, as it came up in the previous project that we looked at, there was some concern that should the council grant abatements and have a company have the opportunity to then go back in and ask for the property values to be lowered by the reassessment process. The way this is set up in the resolution is it would give you that opportunity to review all of that during your regular compliance review in May and June. So tried to capture that since that was a concern. Again, great project, great jobs, great pay and benefits, and of course, AMD is a part of a big growing company in Fort Wayne, and we're just happy to have them here in the county doing a lot of the work that they're doing to support the bigger business. But these are exactly the kind of jobs that we're here to promote within the county because of the pay and the technical stuff. I'll maybe let Jeff say a couple words, or Jeff or Rod from the company. But I think just in discussions that I've had with them, and this is one of the few places anywhere on the planet that will be doing this sort of thing. So this is there's a certain coolness factor to the fact that it's our people here in Whitley County that are helping to create these products that people everywhere buy to help with their health issues. So I don't know, anything you'd like to add to that?
Oh, you may ask me questions that we have to be as well. I've been in pouring metals for 38 years. I started this at 15. And we corporately now have almost 1,100. And I think when I came up, or was around at the old foundry building trying to renovate it. Projects they're cool, they're technical. We're doing some really neat things. We got a project going on right now, massive blend out of Cleveland on a company that moved to China. The U.S. government said we paid for that equipment, and he boxed it up, and NASA called us and said, would you be interested in that? Then films for high-speed of energy. So we're primarily supplying medical device industries. We do have some other projects that are to grow. I'm just having a lot of fun. I often say that foreign metals can do anything, but we can't do everything. We try to stay focused, but doggone, we try to do about everything we get asked to do. So that's just some of the things that are going on there.
We're happy to have you in Whitley County, and John, thank you for adding that clause about any reassessment, and I hope that you'll continue to do that on future projects.
One of the questions I have, and I don't want to give you any trade secrets or whatever, but do you guys, I've seen it someplace in here I read where there's titanium and different things. Now, is this electroprocessing, or is it part of the metal itself, or?
We buy, they call it titanium sponge, and so there's an electrolytic process that goes through to draw the titanium out of the ore. So we purchased that spun, we purchased electrolytic nickel. And the primary alloys that we melt here in Columbia City, we take that raw titanium and that raw electrolytic nickel, we combine those two to make a nickel titanium alloy. We also do pure titaniums and a variety of other titanium alloys where we add aluminum and vanadium. So everything that's getting melted there is being done in our factories. We go vacuum chamber, we just take the raw elements, carefully weigh them out, we melt them into ingots.
So there's no environmental waste or to speak of, or what?
No, but we have plenty of paperwork that we file with the IDEM and trying to get air permits. Physical waste, no. I mean, we've got the air permits and the exhaust, but everything's done under vacuum. It's pretty.
Thank you.
One question now is, are you veteran-friendly in your hiring process?
I believe so. Most of our hiring practices go through the HR department.
I have a question about, it says here in the paperwork that we got that you're also considering locations, Michigan, Ohio, Costa Rica, Malaysia, and Ireland. So if you guys could share with us how the Whitley County rank as far as, you chose us, you obviously want it here because you're asking for this abatement, but how did we edge everybody else out? What's the draw for you?
Those are all areas that we are actively looking at expansions, and a lot of those expansions are just continuing at those existing facilities. So we have a facility in Ireland, we have a facility that we just purchased in Ohio. We're in the process right now of going through due diligence. A lot of our customer base in the medical device industry, they do low-cost manufacturing, and we get some significant enough customers in those locations to pursue those just to maintain that business. Our primary goal is to try to expand what we're currently operating. We're looking at 20 day at this time.
Appreciate that, thank you.
The redevelopment commission recommends that we approve, the council approve this resolution. And again, the redevelopment commission was proud to have a local company growing. You've been a good company, this even makes it look better. So I would move that we approve this resolution based on that.
Would you?
I'll second.
What's the resolution number?
Yes.
I believe it's 2017-11 on it, and would you also include the amount of time for the abatement and the
Yes.
total amount?
That's part of the resolution.
So a motion and second. Do we have any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
So we're going to Don Amber and Attorney Matt Chipman next.
Good morning. I think I'm really going to talk, this is pretty easy. So, as you guys know, the Whitley County Commissioners are supporting a petition to form the Whitley County Sewer and Water District, the countywide district. As part of that process, statutorily, we just discovered that really the fiscal body of the county actually has to sign a resolution that says they approve the project. We're not asking for any money or anything. It's part of the packet that we have to submit to IDEM to get the countywide sewer district approved. So I did give it to Jana, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's literally all we're asking for is a resolution in support of the project.
Can you,
I don't really have a lot of knowledge on the project, so can you expand, can you elaborate? Okay, yeah, I didn't know how much you guys knew or not knew. So I'll try to give you a big global level, and if you have more specific questions. So The state of Indiana through IDEM allows communities to get together either in a small lake community like Tri-Lakes or big community like a huge county to get together and form what's called a sewer district, a regional sewer district. That process got started maybe a year ago, a while ago. I just got involved 60 days ago, something like that. But ultimately, that process is you work to petition IDEM to give you the permission to build sewer infrastructure in areas where it's needed. This kind of started with, probably initially with the Quessy project. You guys are probably aware that they discovered some issues in Quessy where they put in the equine hospital. As part of that, eventually we got some of those fixed, but there's still lots of problems out there. And it's meant to serve areas that are more scattershot. We're obviously not going to serve the whole county. It's not cost effective, but areas where like Troy Cedar Lake, for instance, is another example, where there are a lot of houses together with really old septic systems that likely they're contaminating the lake and the groundwater. And so Scott is here, so Scott could answer some of those questions because we had a meeting the other day and Scott actually said, I just had another person call me on Highway 33, can't sell their house because their septic system is shot. Their lot's too small to put in a new septic system. So until we build this sewer district, they can't sell their house because it has no active septic system that's functioning. That's the point of it, really, is to build this district, and then we've hired a couple of consultants to help identify projects. They go out into these specific areas and have public meetings, and at the public meetings, figure out whether there's interest and how much interest, and then they try and match that up with Tri-Lake Sewer District, the city, Aqua, Indiana, whoever can actually accept it, because we're not going to build a plan, we're just going to send it to somebody else. Make sure that makes sense from a cost standpoint, that, hey, we could build it here and take it to here. As long as all those things line up, then once this gets approved and IDEM gives us permission, we'll start serving some of the county with sewer and water, potentially. It is a water district as well. That water infrastructure will likely mainly happen southeast of the county because Aqua Indiana is there already with water. Like Tri-Lakes doesn't have water. It's just all sewage, so. Really high level, I can answer more specific questions, I guess, if you guys have any.
I guess I have a pretty basic question. Are any of these other facilities willing to accept other?
Yes,
They've met with
that's all been lined up.
the rates and all that, how much it's going to be, we're still going to have to work through, but yeah, they're all willing, and they all have capacity to accept. Tri-Lakes has got capacity for like 500 more homes, I know. The city has capacity to take some of the outlying areas potentially. Can't really do anything, okay, because at this point we're not authorized. We've been working as kind of a working group. Then once you get your structure in place, you file a petition that has tons of exhibits of support. We've got support from South Whitley, Larwell, and Churubusco, letters of support. Then we file that with IDEM, and the IDEM process probably 3 to 6 months. Ultimately, as long as IDEM thinks it meets the qualifications under the Indiana statute, then they will approve it, and then at that point we can start identifying actual projects, trying to find funding sources, and try to serve some underserved areas.
When this infrastructure comes through, are people required to tie in and pay that tie-in fee?
Not been determined.
There's likely not going to be a tie-in fee. They're going to build that into the cost of the projects.
Yeah.
So like Tri-Lakes, if you build a new house at Tri-Lakes, you have to pay like a $10,000 connection fee. the way these will work is that connection fee cost will be built into the cost of the project and on the bond. But as far as like, if you go, so if you run a sewer main, like there's a sewer main that runs to Northern Heights School on 500 from Tri-Lakes. Those people are not required to connect. Some of them have, because it's economic and made sense for them, but they're not required to. If we go into a specific area, that'll be a decision of the board, like if we decide to go to Troy Cedar or Quessy. The statute allows us to compel people, but they still have to make that decision. If they don't think people are, I mean, the economics of it are gonna make those decisions too a little bit, because you can't build the whole infrastructure and have one person connect, obviously.
Sure. So if infrastructure is built into, if tying in is built into the rates, then these folks could be looking at some pretty hefty rates, monthly rates. But we don't know how much yet.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how much, but yeah, it's a matter of, you pay a $10,000 connection fee and your bill is $50 or whatever, or you don't pay one and it's more than that. It works out equally over the life of a septic system, but not sure how it's going to end up though. We won't know until, these funding sources are a mix of grant and loans, okay? And so if you get a lot of grants because of, like, you're serving an area like Quessy potentially, that because it has more of a low to moderate income per household, there's a lot more grants available. If you go to do, a more affluent area, then there won't be any grants available, and that may affect the rates because of the way that the projects are done. We have to get this done to figure all that stuff out, and we don't know at this point.
I think as you figure out where things are gonna go, you probably will keep in mind, I may be the only one that thinks this, but I believe that there'll be a time when we're all gonna be on a sewer district.
Potentially. There'll be parts of Washington Township and the southern part of the county where it's just not densely populated enough to justify that. As long as you got room for a septic.
I think it'll probably end up being mandated, be my guess sometime.
Well, that's possible.
Well, and I'd like to say, this whole thing is a result of IDEM about 4 years ago coming to the commissioners and saying, you are now an MS4 entity, which means that we have to have storm sewer separation. And the city is already an MS4 entity, and they deal with this, and it's a lot of monitoring is what it is. And what it would be for the county is we'd have to monitor every one of our open ditches, and if there's an issue, we have to go back and figure out where the issue is and fine or take care of whatever situation is causing that. So what we met with the commissioner of IDEM at that time, and she told us that as long as we're working forward in doing something like the sewer district, then they wouldn't actually have us do the monitoring, which is going to be very expensive. It's going to be very expensive. So we're just working towards making sure that, in the future, we're going to have to do this anyway, but we're doing it gradual rather than trying to get the cost all at once involved here. So that's really what's this originates from.
I didn't know that history, so thanks for sharing that.
So,
Like I said, I'm new to the thing.
so what is needed from this body here?
Really just a resolution in support of the project. It requires, and Janet has it, basically all the resolution says is that you're aware that we're filing the petition and you support it or give it your approval. It's required by, a code section that the fiscal body is aware of and supports the project.
I got a question for you. Let's just say you run it out there to Quessy. Then, once it's in, say 5 years, 6 years down the road, who takes care of it? Who maintains it?
The countywide sewer district will, likely. Now, that will also be part, though, of the negotiations with, that would be the city, I think. The city currently serves, and so probably the city, as part of the interlocal agreement between the countywide and the city, would likely do that. The district itself that we're forming could also do it, but it might not, again, make economic sense to hire their own people to serve a small 30 houses. It's just, at some point, the economics will make sense for us to have, this county sewer district to have people at some point, maybe, or maybe it'll always make sense to literally farm out everything. It just depends on the numbers. It'll be driven by how many people and, I represent 4 or 5 sewer districts, and the littler sewer districts don't have any employees. They don't do anything other than subcontract with a billing clerk, subcontract with a maintenance company, and we have monthly board meetings where we pay those bills, in essence. It'll start off like that probably, because it will make sense to do it otherwise. Eventually, as the county potentially grows with the new high school and you have, new developments likely that happen, we'll work with them to try to make this, makes it easier to make a development a lot of times when you can build all that infrastructure, so. A lot of that happens, then maybe there'll be staff or.
I've got a lot of mixed emotions about this because of the unknown factors, but I think it's a case of the county being proactive in this manner, and I'm going to support it.
Who will be on the Whitley County Regional Water and Sewer District Board, and how will that be formed, and how many members, and what will be the decision-making process?
How many, what do we have, 7 members? 7 members at this point.
So it's already been,
Yeah,
been
the
put together?
the petition itself says how it's laid out, and the individual board members are what the statute allows us to do. I think each of the commissioners had a pick, each of the communities had a pick, so like Marwell, South Whitley, Dawn's on the board, and then I think we have a total of 7, I think, is that right? 7, yeah. Right. So yeah, it's kind of like there was a formula, we followed the formula, and at this point, that's and we just got our last 2 board members, the commissioners' last 2 picks for our last board meeting. Todd Nichols, president of the Tri-Lakes Homeowners Association, is one of them, and Brooks Langlow, I think, was Tom's pick.
And
But the
so,
board has absolutely no power until this charter is received from IDEM.
so if Cohasset decides, hey, or the board decides Cohasset's a good project or a good target for this project, and then you have of course, you're gonna have some people that are on board and some people that are against it. So then, at that time, there would be a hearing with this board for that group of people to make a decision on whether they're gonna move forward as a community to implement that, and then the board would decide that?
Actually, those meetings have already taken place. We've been in every community and have literally notified. Cherubusco, we have 156 homes. That could be a part of this. Every one of those people were notified, had an opportunity to come to a meeting and get the answers. The same thing has happened. I'm drawing a blank, some of the other places.
There was a meeting in Northern Heights. The final.
I'll tell you how that one came about, Chad, was we sort of learn as we go. We found out that IDEM said, yeah, all these little meetings you're having are nice, but you have to have one big meeting.
Right.
And that's what that one was. It was total redundancy. Everything that had already been told to people, they heard again up there. But that was boy, I tell you, IDEM really is in charge of this. They're not in charge, but they're who we have to go to. So again, we're looking to get a charter, and to get the charter, the fiscal body has to authorize the commissioners to move ahead on this thing. And that's really why we're here today.
And we'll have public meetings. Once we get formed, we'll have to advertise our meetings, no different than you guys. Anyone can come to the meetings. We meet monthly meetings, and You know, if, to the extent we do a project and have rates for that project, they'll have to go in the paper, like any other sewer districts.
Is that, Don, is that requirement there because potentially there could be a cost to the county tax base as far as that we would have to approve, or why do you think that that's tied in, that we need to give it
Just
a
to make sure the
go?
right hand's talking to the left would be my guess. I don't know.
Pure
There's no
bureaucracy in my
rationale
mind.
offered in the statute. I mean, I could give you lots of
Yeah.
statutory things that make no sense. I mean, it's not that this doesn't make sense. I'm glad, you know, to the extent you guys had questions about it, that you'll know, because you're gonna get asked. But it literally just says the fiscal body of the petitioner has to approve a resolution before you can submit it. And that's, there's no reason or rationale offered in the statute. It's
Yeah, there's just a lot of things, a lot of unknowns. A city, I'm just thinking, just quite bluntly, somebody's paying city taxes, and then they're gonna have somebody come in and use their sewer system, and then that eventually fill up, and there's gonna have to be a rate, there's gonna be a rate that's gonna be involved with non-city people using the city project.
right.
So we don't have any idea what that rate's gonna be.
Actually, the communities with the wastewater treatment facilities, they're really the people who stand to gain on this.
It's a revenue
Because
source.
they'll get their amount that they want. And then the consumer, and I'm gonna be one, I'll just tell you that right up front, I know I'm gonna be one of them, then I'm also gonna have to pay my share for all the infrastructure that the sewer district put in. So.
And they're gonna tell you what you're gonna pay.
I'm sorry?
They're gonna tell you what you're gonna pay, it won't be left, I mean, they
Yeah.
can't operate at a loss.
A
so
good
they're gonna-
example, a good example.
No, but you don't particularly operate it at a profit either. You
Right.
just, you try to pay back. So here's the big deal. If we get this charter from IDEM, that's the key to unlocking the grants. That's the key to, the more grant money we can get, the better off we are. But it also is the key to low-cost loans as well. So, and that's probably what we'll operate on. The one thing that I think is important, and I think, did I hear Scott was back there? Here's the one thing I think is very important, and again, I have to use my area, Orchard Lane in Cherubusco, and 33. Some of those people can't sell their homes because the septic is worn out. So even if they had to pay, and we're not saying this, but even if they had to pay $10,000 hookup fee, they're more than going to get that back in property value escalating. That's going to be, there's a big economic development side to this too that is a whole nother side. But,
A good example of that was Tri Lakes. When they put that sewer system up at Tri Lakes, the property values jumped a lot.
And I would say the same thing about Blue Lake.
Yeah.
If you drove around Blue Lake and you saw lots of little, what do you call them, the cabins, little lake cabins, and now you see $200,000-$300,000 homes. It's all because of sewer.
As far as the cost of it, nobody's gonna know till you get involved in it.
Right, and, we can't figure any of that out until we take the next step.
You can't figure it out now because we don't.
The resolution of 2017-12 simply states that this is a plan to petition the Commissioner of the Indiana Department of Environmental Management for an order directing that the Whitley County Regional Water and Sewer District be formed. Period.
Literally, that's.
So, the other conversation is kind of getting the horse before the cart, or the cart
Oh,
before the
yeah,
horse.
you guys
It's
have
just simply a
questions, so
resolution
glad
to form the district.
Said I can answer them.
So entertain a motion.
I move we approve it.
We have a motion, have a second.
I'll second, or did he have Bill second?
We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Those in favor signify by your right hand. Opposed, the same.
If you guys have more questions, call me. Talk you through it.
There's just one slot for your signatures on it. Those who voted no, designate that you were no.
Thank you.
Mark, I believe you were up next.
I'm here to ask for additional appropriations to the building maintenance account 36004 in the amount of $20,000.
Have you used up all your maintenance budget?
Yes. In fact, I believe I'm about 3,000 in the red right now.
Is this earmarked for anything, Mark, or is this just money that you need to get into the budget because you know you have costs coming?
I know I have costs coming, yes. There are some contracts that are still out there that need to be paid out of this account.
Think this will be enough for the rest of the year?
Yes.
It does come out of county general, and Gatton says we do have the funding.
What do we still have in county general?
Pardon?
What is our amount still in county general?
I think we told Mark this at budget time last year. He had asked for an increase, and we told him to spend what you got, and if you run out, come back. And there he is.
That's right.
Like 13,000 of it was for the work release hot water heaters. Brought that to you. You just told me to go ahead and take it out of this account.
I know it's justified, size of it, but that's a hell of a lot.
While she's looking that up, John, where else could this money come from besides county general?
County general's where it comes out of.
That's the only option.
For the overall, it's cash balance is 38,000 negative right now. The county. They have a formula that I do for the additional appropriation that says how much we can for the year, and there's still an amount remaining.
We have a request, do we have a motion?
He's doing what we asked him to do. I'll move we approve him.
We have a motion, do we have a second? I will second that.
Right.
Glenn,
I was gonna second.
second? We have a motion and a second. We're open for discussion.
You got contracts out there if you have to pay for them, am I correct?
Yes.
Hearing no discussion, those in favor of the motion signify by your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Thank you.
Stop asking for money.
She's in the deficit until the next draw comes.
Sheriff Gatton, I believe you're up next.
I think we could have used some of it. Because he took all his money out of that, why couldn't you hot water heaters and that stuff? Kim Cat. He needs,
I've since added one sheet that wasn't in the packet.
somebody needs to.
Slowing down.
Thank you.
Is this something new?
Yeah, I don't even know. Just did that this week.
Let's see.
Good morning. I'm back to ask for $10,017 for Janelle to assume the E911 duties. I'm also here today to try to help you understand the importance of the E911 job duties getting completed here in Whitley County. One of the key E911 job duties plays a major role in life and death of Whitley County citizens. If addresses and phone numbers aren't changed or verified, we can't get fire personnel, EMS service, or police there in a timely manner. I also know one of the questions at hand was $10,017 was too much to pay for the duties of Whitley County 911/Communications Director. This new job title of the Communication Director was going to continue with all the old dispatch commander duties of IDEX and CIC and assume the old E911 Director duties. These new duties include, but aren't limited to, preparing yearly budgets, state audits, keeping the MSAG, which is the Master Street Address Guide, up to date with verifying new phone numbers, phone number changes, new addresses, change of addresses, research for purchasing new equipment, equipment maintenance, payroll, claims, state meetings, mandatorily yearly reports, and yearly training to staff. Another question I was given was this job need to be full-time? And to have the new company evaluate it. I have brought with me today facts of what counties with populations of 30 to 40,000 have evaluated this job at and pay for the same duties I'm asking for. They also see the importance of a full-time E911 position. I will show you what counties around us here in northern Indiana value these jobs at a 2016 rate. I didn't include the bigger counties such as Allen or Kosciuszko because they made a lot more money for the same duties. Now, let's look at the packet I sent you. The first two pages that say E911 Director pay for counties with populations between 30 and 40,000. I'm not going to hit a bunch on this because there's some more information. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But first I'd like to point out that some of these jobs did have change or cents on the end of them, extra money, but I dropped that off to make it cleaner and easier on myself. Most of the data came from the Indiana Gateway for government units and a few phone calls. So let's look at Clinton County. They have a director that does all the same duties that I'm asking for, but they also have 3 supervisors to help with the duties. What duties exactly the supervisors get assigned, I don't know. So as you can go through there's usually a communication director or 911 director. IDEX coordinators, assistant coordinators, and 911 directors for Gibson County. Greene County has an IDEX coordinator and a 911 coordinator. Huntington, a director and assistant director. Jasper, 911 coordinator and chief of the radio. Jefferson, an E911 coordinator and 3 supervisors. LaGrange, 3 E911 personnel and an IDEX coordinator. Putnam, E911 director, E911 supervisor, IDEX coordinator. Steuben, communication director and telecom trainer, also known as a dispatcher. Dispatch executive director for Wabash and 2 IDEX NCIC people. And Whitley in 2016 what we had. The counties listed below here was hard to decipher in the Indiana Gateway on exactly what their job duties were because it said dispatcher, it didn't say if it was head. Adams, as you can see, I did add later because they returned a phone call. So if we can move on to E911 pay facts for counties our size and next. There we go. I'd also like to point out in the last section, a lot of them that are supervisors do not work the radio anymore. They do all admin stuff. I'd like to point out this coming month in October, Janelle Schmidt is working 10 shifts on the radio council to help fill in for PTO time. So next, the E911 pay facts. Davies County has an E911 director, paid $41,630, and an IDEX radio or assistant is what's in it next at $37,800. We can go through the upper part, but I'd like to focus. The average for both jobs above, not counting Whitley County, was $80,264 for those same job duties that I'm asking for Janelle to do. The average pay for just the E911 director with county populations of 30 to 40,000 is $41,463. The lower half of that page, I'd really like to point out
These are counties that are close to us in Indiana and would be the same kind of pay in this area. Adams County, which only has 8 dispatchers and they work alone a lot, their director makes $38,916 and their assistant makes $32,988 for a total of $71,904. DeKalb's director makes $61,200. Their assistant makes $54,000 for a total of $115,200. Huntington director E911 makes $47,722. The assistant makes $45,330. LaGrange director makes $45,860. The assistant makes $47,062. But I put an asterisk, they also have an E911 trainer paid $44,748 and one E9 supervisor paid $46,314. But the 2 top jobs pay $92,922. Noble's director makes $41,907 and their assistant makes $41,792 for a total of $83,699, and Steuben $57,620 and their trainer makes $64,381 for a total of $119,000 and $119.01. The average for the job duties close to Whitley County or northern Indiana for those 2 jobs is $95,963. The average pay in northern Indiana here for counties close to our size or close to us for the E911 director makes $48,870. I'd like to go on to the next sheet now, which would be the one I gave you actually. The difference between Whitley County, the above counties for E911 or the head of communications, NCIC, or IDEX. The amount I'm requesting is the $58,262. Putnam County, which was the lowest on the above, because I didn't have Adams at that time, pays $10,169 more than Whitley County would have to pay for their E911 supervisor with their 2 jobs. LaGrange County, which is leading, pays $34,660 more for the same job duties I'm asking for Janelle to do. Now in the middle, the following difference is the pay in counties for the Northeast Indiana. On the wage requested of my $58,262, Adams County for their 2 jobs pays $13,642 more than requested for the 2 jobs. Steuben County pays $60,739 more than the jobs I'm requesting for Janelle to do. The offer that was offered last time was $47,658 from the county council, which shows Adams County pays $24,246 more for the same 2 jobs. Steuben County pays $71,343 more for the same 2 jobs. Above facts show wages proposed and offered are still well below what fair market work value in northern Indiana is for these jobs. Now if we could go on to the Whitley County 911 Director pay history. This next sheet is as far back as I could find in old budgets that I had. Was to show in 1993, which the E911 Directors was a part-time job, Whitley County valued that job at $6,000 that year. That job was completed by also a dispatcher on his own time afterwards. That job was kept part-time till 2006. In September 10th, 2006, it was made full-time for $46,612. But I would like to point out, in 2002, Whitley County valued that job at $10,377. That's more than the requested money I'm asking for Janelle to be increased to take the same job duties that the county valued in 2002 at $10,377. In 2016, they valued the part-time position at $14,904 for part-time. So again, Whitley County has grown 19.5% from 1990 until the last full census in 2010. As we all know, this has increased work for the 911 job. Whitley County also again valued the part-time E911 position at $14,904 per year for part-time in 2006. We all know that the duties, responsibility, and population has increased since then. If we could go to the last money savings, combining job duties for Whitley County. If Whitley County would have to hire a new director, from the facts that I have shown you, on the low end in Northeast Indiana, the pay to an employee would be $38,916. With a new employee, we would pay an insurance cost of $8,987.04. We would pay Medicare cost of $564.28. FICA of $2,412.79. PERF, $4,358.59. For a new employee at the lowest rate, $55,238.70. Paying Janelle the $10,017 shows a savings of $45,221.70. The average, $48,870, with the insurance cost, Medicare, FICA, and PERF figured in, for a new employee would be $67,069.01 to the cost of the county. Paying Janelle, we would be saving $57,052.01. Paying the old director, $56,409 with all the costs, $76,029.12. Paying Janelle the additional $10,017, savings to the county $66,012.12. Below, I know there might have been questions, the increase to Whitley County for benefits based on the base salary. The insurance of paying Janelle would be the same. The county's already paying for her portion of insurance. Medicare, under a current wage, would go up $145.24. FICA would go up $621.05. PERF would go up $1,121.90, totaling $1,888.19. So with the $10,017 plus the cost of the benefit increase, the total cost of Whitley County with duties and benefits would be $11,905.19. Any questions on that portion?
This has no effect on the general fund, that all comes from 911 money, correct?
Right now, I believe Bill She's in Lowit, which would come out Lowit. The old position was out of 911 or the user fee money, which had no effect, correct?
Information here, Mark, thank you. One question, I guess, that I have is, how many landlines less do we have now, and how much does that influence any of the job duties? I know we have less landlines than we used
have
to.
less landlines, I do know that also.
Yeah.
I don't have a number for you on that.
I'm just curious. Not saying I'm against giving some money, I just was curious.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The commissioners have motioned approval for a favorable pass for this, and we're asking for your consideration in this, and not only for the sheriff's department, for us as a county, for the simple fact that we as commissioners are legally have to make sure that we have a 911 director. Mark has taken on, the sheriff has taken on this temporarily at this time, and we want to thank him for taking that on, but we still have the issue of, what do we do?
Sure.
You know, we've only got a couple of options here. One option is, combining that job and paying an additional salary for that, or we're going to have to reinstate the 911 director's job, because again, legally, we have to do something. So we're just asking for your consideration in this.
Last week, I spoke to an Ed Reuter. He's the state director, the executive director for E911, and he was very clear in stating that counties are not required to have a director for E911. They're only required to have someone tasked with those duties and responsibilities. It doesn't have to be one person. It can be multiple people. Those duties and responsibilities have to be fulfilled, but it does not have to be a director
Well, whether you call
in
it
the county.
director or administrator, whatever you call it, it's
Right.
still needed.
Which is why we
and-
changed the
Yes.
name to
Yeah.
the communication. With no more questions, before I close, I hope this presentation has helped educate all of us on the need of this position. Let's all step back and take another look at what this position is going to do for public safety field in Indiana. The money requested is just to be comparable for the same skills, duties, and responsibilities as others. With my duties as sheriff, I can't go on very long assuming the intern position in 911. I'll be honest, there's a new road coming, and I believe at least 10 lots. Quail Ridge has a new building that's going to have addresses. I have changed some addresses, verified, and have been paying the claims. Whitley County Council again valued this job at over $9,000 since 1997 as a part-time position. We know it has increased. I would like to finish with a few words after a quote from the book On Fire by John O'Leary. When an organization stops innovating, stops doing things differently, stops investing in its own people, and stops dreaming big, it stops growing and begins to die. Let's invest in Janelle. She was doing the job when she was thrown in it since March, and she did it well. She learned on an accelerated learning curve and saved us a lot of downtime. She's already made the right connections with people here and the people downstate to complete the job duties. I leave you with the request that a motion be made to pass for Janelle to receive the $10,017 and still have the job evaluated when the company comes in. She will be taking care of dispatch, NCIC, IDEX, and E911. I'm sure when the new company comes in, it will still evaluate way above the wage being asked for today. I believe the figures and facts that we just went over can prove that. Let us please move forward for the safety of the citizens of Whitley County and public safety personnel. Thank you.
A question, Mark.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, within the 911 area, do you foresee coming back and say, hey, we need this, another person or two or whatever in the future? I mean, I'm talking about the future in the next 2 or 3 years.
I don't know if the budget was or wasn't approved, which we had requested a supervisor for down there, which I think one of those people can help. Janelle can delegate some things to him, whether it be scheduling, payroll, help delegate. I don't foresee, until you guys have it evaluated, coming back for that, but I'm not saying in the future I won't ask for another supervisor or somebody else down in the division.
Any additional?
Mark, I just want to make it clear that, you know, you talk a lot about Janelle here, both verbally and in your presentation. But to me, when I look at the numbers and have to make a decision, it has nothing to do with Janelle. It has to do with the position and the responsibilities and the job that's being done. And I'm not saying that I don't think that she does an excellent job, that she hasn't made those connections. But to me, it's not tied into who's in that position. It's about the position. I just want to make sure that that's clear.
That's not a personal thing. You know, if she left, you're still gonna have to have somebody else doing it.
Right, and it has
So
to be.
then the person doesn't go out. When this first came up, I made the motion to approve it. Because I was convinced then that you needed it, and that it's financially, it's actually saving us money since they got rid of the director, and we're not spending as much money as we won't be spending as much money as we had been in the past. And also, it doesn't really affect our general fund. So I will again make the motion that we approve it.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
And you're approving it for how much? Figure, you have a figure?
Yeah, move her salary to $58,262.
Do we have a second? I will second it so we can open it for more discussion.
Last month, we approved a 3% increase. What was the number that took those salaries to? Do we know?
Yeah, that's right.
It's 47.
47,658. Is that what Is that, I mean, I'm just regurgitating the number that you put on your information, I didn't do the
Yeah, that's
math.
what her current rate for 17 was.
That's with the 3% increase.
And what's her current rate at, without the 3%?
$16 was $46,274.
Yeah.
And 17 still.
Communications chief for 2017.
48,245? Well, 48, I mean, I'm not real good at math, but 48,245 plus 3% can't be 47,658.
And I used the 2016 number for it.
Okay.
What would be Janelle's ballpark figure for hourly wage? You have any idea?
Well, you're way over my head on that one, JB. I have to.
The reason why I ask on it, we just passed a tax abatement for advanced materials design on it, and the beginning hourly wage is $26.77 plus our benefits then on it. If we can give a tax abatement for that type of wages coming in on it, why can't we do it for our own employees on it? That's my point that I'm trying to bring up. Do we have any other discussion with,
When I spoke to that Ed Reuter, he told me that he intends to visit Whitley County in the coming few weeks, and that he would let me know ahead of time when he came. And I have concerns. I don't have a full understanding of what's happening in that office, and of course I feel that meeting with Ed and having Ed be in the work area, maybe he can explain to me. He did over the phone explain to me the importance of the positions and the reason that they're necessary, but he would like to spend time with not just myself but other council members when he visits, and I would like to have that knowledge, or at least that conversation with him in person before I support an increase of $10,604.
With who, Chad?
With Ed Reuter. He's the statewide executive director of E911.
I guess I understand that, but my question is, don't we have to count on our department heads for their knowledge of the department and what needs to be done? We've always done that as commissioners. We try to do that. We try to count on our department heads, and I know we can study this for weeks and weeks and weeks, but a decision really needs to be made here, and I think we need to depend on the sheriff or whatever department.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Janelle would do it part-time after other hours for the $14,000 that was paid in 2006. I mean, I think I showed and tried hard to show you that it's a fair wage for this position, combining all those duties.
I'm a little like Chad, I don't know what really goes on down there either. And like George says, we have to depend on the people who are running the place, which is you, Mark. I have to take your word for it, because I don't understand it.
I feel like we just keep kicking the can down the road, and that's what we've been doing, but however, I think what Chad proposes got some reasoning too. I mean, there's the guy's the state director, and he can answer questions that members have, and I guess I don't know what another month is going to make a whole lot of difference if we would get, you think he'll be here within the month?
He told me yes.
I mean, I don't want to wait till he's coming in December. I think that's kind of pushed a little far myself, but if he was going to be up here in the next, few weeks, I don't want to do something wrong. We've just kind of done some things on here back and forth that I don't think's been good, and I don't want us to do something that's not good again. And like I say, if he's going to be here in the next few weeks, I'd be willing to listen to what he had to say and table it, but I don't want us to just come here every month, we just keep kicking the thing
Yeah.
forward and we do nothing.
Well, somebody's gotta carry the load and keep things going, and they need to be compensated probably for that in
And I'll
some
be honest,
form.
John, I don't want to do this housing addition stuff because I don't have a clue. I'm going to be straight honest. I mean, I'm going to have to call downstate and have somebody walk me through because I don't know how to do it. I changed an address, and then I had to verify it, and I paid some claims. But I've literally set the pile on my desk hoping this would go today to take effect on October 8th so I could give it back to Janelle. And I just feel that I've shown you that this job is well worth that money, whether it be Janelle or somebody else, because let me pose this to you. Who are you going to bring in to do these job duties with the pay that's being paid for that position in northern Indiana for $10,017?
Well, I appreciate the work you've done on this. This is good factual information.
Well, if you've seen the way I type, Jim, it took me a long time.
Like me, hunt and peck, I know what you mean, but.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Mr. Banks has said for the last 2 meetings, he doesn't know what we do. You've not come to us. You've not come to my office one time to see what I do, ask me any questions. You've not visited dispatch to even see what my dispatchers do.
Yeah, I've been down there before. I have been down there once, but
You call down to state for a guy who runs the entire board to see what I do, but you don't come to me and ask me.
no, ma'am, that's incorrect. I called down to state to understand how we receive that funding from the state. And during that conversation, he said he fully intends to visit Whitley County,
And I have
and he'd
spoken
love
Yeah,
to.
he contacted us to come up after he heard of the initial issues.
He didn't give you a date?
No, he didn't have a schedule set when I talked to him. But I don't want there to be a misunderstanding. I called him to understand how we receive that money.
But you say you don't understand, you've never come to me. You never asked me any questions. You never called me to ask any questions. So you're not gonna understand if you don't ask. I wouldn't understand. I had to learn this stuff on the fly, and I had to call and ask.
Sure.
And
Now
part
I
of,
have an understanding.
part of the understanding that we haven't had and that is difficult and we try to digest and make good decisions is just so simple as this packet. We've never been given this. This is a lot of good information. I told that to Mark already. This is the type of stuff I went through and tried to do a lot of stuff on my own, and there's information here that I wasn't even able to gather. This is good, and this gives us something to base those decisions off of. You know, when we're coming into this, when this whole process started about we don't need this position anymore, so it was eliminated, that all has to weigh into, okay, where are we at and what do we need? And this is the body that's responsible for spending the dollar, and we have to make a responsible decision for that. I've been opposed to it in the past, obviously. But this is good information, and I think a lot of good points are being brought up, and I think a lot of this needs to be, I think we need to take a step back and digest this information and everybody have some conversation. And I would like, I know it's not what you guys want, but I would like for this to be tabled for a month so we can all digest this information, have conversations, let Councilman Banks have the conversation, or and everybody with the state director, give people an opportunity to come over, Janelle, and walk through your dispatch center. Everybody has an invitation now to come down and do that. So let's table this for a month.
I still think, though, somebody needs to be compensated.
Well, there's still an offer on the table, or not an offer on the table, there was still a
We have a
salary
motion and a
amendment that had
second
been made.
on it. Do we have any additional discussion?
Well, I think where we lacked as a council, we just plain did not do any due diligence on this from the start. There's been more done here in the last 30 days probably than we've just kind of.
No, I procrastinated the last 2 weeks.
Well, but I mean, we have not done our due diligence on this matter, I don't think, in the past, and I think there's been more done recently.
We always depended on that personnel committee pretty heavily up until this one, and we didn't. And we also depended on the sheriff's, or whatever department head it is, we've depended on the department heads.
And times have changed, but now I know, I think it's better to bring this to you.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call for a vote.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Those in favor of the motion signify by your right hand.
Well, let's not put the cart ahead of the horse. Do you want to make a motion to table as an amendment or something, or then we go with the full motion, or is that proper?
We got a motion.
Whose that would be Bill's motion.
We have a motion and second that we need to
But you can't make a motion to amend that. I mean, he can't make a motion to, okay.
Bill can.
I'm not going.
Okay.
I'm just not comfortable yet. I would like to.
I would too.
I would like to.
Those in favor of the motion signify by your right hand. Those opposed, the same.
And I'm voting no only because I like to see it tabled for 1 month, but I'm not saying I'm opposed to the motion.
Mark, before you leave on it, there was a proposal for 3%. Your proposal for the wage is what percent? 10, 15, 13?
I didn't do the percent for it, you have it for me, don't you?
It's someplace between 15 and 20%. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Is there a comfortable compromise percent that people would accept?
Now, was that motion defeated?
Yes.
Well, I'm not saying I'm opposed to that motion. I kind of think it's reasonable that we hear from that Ed, if you can, something, and before we vote and actually put it in concrete. I mean, like I say, I'm not opposed to.
Well, the statutes of what Ed can talk about are in the statute, what we have to follow. I mean, Ed's not gonna tell us anything more than what the statute says the job requirements are, and somebody has to have that title. He's not gonna give any advice, most likely, on what you should pay your director, or your person that you assign those duties to.
No, they're not gonna come up with a number.
No, they can't dictate to us.
We're gonna, if we do that, we're gonna look at it, and we're still gonna make up our mind what we think by knowing what's being done.
The job duties that were requested are completely statute bound, and you can read everything that has to be done in those duties. Ed can talk you through some things, I'm sure, but I don't know what else to do, gentlemen. I've given you everything I can possibly give. Like I said, I personally don't want to deal with this. I guess I'll go make phone calls today, but it's just putting my own department and duties behind schedule. I just wish you would have put the faith and instilled in the trust in me with everything I gave you, that was a comparable wage.
We're not saying it's not, Mark. It's
I'm
just a
not
lot of
saying it's not.
information. I would.
Okay, well, thank you.
Amy, it appears you're up next.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm before you to just share information regarding a grant that we have received and the actions that are going to take as a part of that. There's two folds on this. We've received a grant in the amount of $16,738. And there is a local cost share to the public, but that cost share can be made up through, can be made up through using the salaries of the participants, so it'll be zero out-of-pocket dollars. I just want to make you aware of it, let you understand it, and, because it will participate in many other communities.
Why don't you just explain it to us, because we're not gonna get it read that quick.
There you go. So the first very thick package you have is basically the state contract. Give you an overview of this particular project. It's called the Multi-Hazard Mitigation Project. This is a federal requirement. It is adopted by the state as well, and then is passed down to the locals. In order to receive funding for any type of disaster or non-disaster type of emergency that we may experience that may or may not meet the threshold for a state declaration, this is FEMA's contract that we have done our due diligence as a community to come together, to participate, and to plan, and to mitigate our own hazards that we'll have within our community. How it begins is you form a committee comprised of people throughout all different disciplines and through all different smaller communities. So South Whitley, Cherubusco, Largo, representatives from elected officials as well as buildings and plants. This group comes together and we identify the hazards that we have in our community. You've all been around, you've lived here, you've grown your families here, you understand severe storms, winter storms, thunderstorms, tornadoes, potential flooding in certain parts of our county, as well as the road hazards that we have dealing with all of the county highways and state highways that we have come through.
Possible industrial hazards, whatever.
Exactly, those are our primary hazards. So what this group will come to do and to be tasked with will be to identify this and to put together a best plan on how we would take care of this localized with our resources that we have. In order to conduct this, because it is a requirement, it does have to be conducted and overseen by a third-party agency. We put out for a request for quote to the two primary agencies that are used throughout the state. The first group was called the Polis Center out of Indianapolis, which they've done our previous multi-hazard mitigation plans. This group is Christopher B. Burke, also from the Indianapolis area, and they both put in quotes. Christopher B. Burke did receive a favorable pass from my advisory board. I then took it to the commissioners and they also provided a favorable pass. The portion that they will be funding is the oversight and the collection of all the data, and they're willing to do that for the cost of $16,000. The total project is a little over $22,000. That's on the primary first page, and you'll see that they have it broken down between the state grant and the local cost share. It's basically a 75-25 split is exactly what that comes down to. So again, I just wanted to pass that information on to you, let you know what stage of the process that we're currently in, and field any questions that you might have in regards to the provider, the vendor that we're going to utilize, or any questions in relationship to the multi-hazard mitigation plan as a whole.
Local cost share from where?
I don't think there is a.
There isn't?
Some communities pay that cost, but we will, how that's conducted is through an in-kind match. So the people participating on the panels, that's why it's so important, that's why I'm reaching out to you to make sure that I can have representatives from your specific communities participate on this panel, because I'm able to use their salary, wages, and mileage to offset that cost. So there will be no out-of-pocket expense to the county as a whole, even though it's a state and federal requirement. We work very hard to try to achieve these grants. They're not always received, but I wanted to make you aware of it, and again, just find out if you had any questions.
You weren't here.
Do you need anything from this body?
We require nothing, we require no ordinance or approval. I wanted to just make you aware of that I will be reaching out to your communities for representatives from different agencies, from different departments, and if I can have your encouragement when I reach out to them, that would be very helpful.
I want to say thank you for all you do.
Yes.
Appreciate that, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to skip around a little bit. Ted Varga, Mark Green. We'll put you back a little bit, Brandon.
Well, thanks again for letting Mark and I come back. We seem to be, permanent contributors here the last few months. So thanks for bringing us back. But I just want to review real quick where we've been, and then give you an update and some really good news and progress that we've made since our last visit. So initially, we presented the entire Aquatic Center facility, asking the county to participate and help invest in this quality of life project that will benefit not just the residents of the city, but also residents of the county and this entire region of the state. So we raised the $4.3 million to build that facility over about a 16, 18-month time period, which was outstanding. Then we came back and visited again because we are adding a pavilion to this facility, which was in the initial plans, but because of where the bids came back from the different contractors, the bids were significantly over the amount of money that we had initially been told we needed to raise to add the pavilion. So we came to you most recently, the cost of the pavilion that was, again, included in the original project was $190,000. And so we presented to the county council asking for about half of that
Next month.
amount. Because at the time that we had spoken with you a month ago, we had raised $12,000 of the $190,000 necessary to build this facility, this part of the facility. So since then, in the last month, we have raised $140,000 just towards this pavilion, which is, again, a significant amount for this pavilion, which will be utilized for events, parties for people within the community, different events for the community to be utilized with both the pool and the ice skating rink that we're going to have. So, so with that being said, now we're just short of $50,000 for this part of the aquatics project. And as I mentioned in our last couple meetings, the fee structure for city residents, for example, for a family of 4, the way that the fee structure is set up right now, a family of 4, their fee for an annual pass would be $200. And then the fee structure for anybody outside of the city limits would be $300 for a family. What we had initially proposed was that to make that a level fee of $200 for a family, for example, if the county were to help invest in this project, that will benefit the entire area, just not the people that live within the city limits. So with that being said, we're coming back to you, asking again, requesting that you would help us with that remaining $50,000 to help offset this final amount of this project, so we can, go ahead and go forward with the building of the pavilion. The old pool's been torn down now. We've already started construction, so we really need to make a decision if we're going to go ahead and follow through with this pavilion or not, because the cost to build it after everything else is built is going to be significantly higher. So we would just request that you would, as the county, help, not just the residents of the city, but there's a significant amount of people who live outside the city limits who will be using this facility and property. I coach our local swim team here, and I would say probably 70 to 75% of all the participants that I coach do not live in the city limits. So a vast proportion of those people who participate in this do not live in the city, and these are all people who you guys represent. So I would just ask that you would reconsider investing in this project.
What about people out of the county? Because I'm sure you get them from Noble.
Yeah, outside the county, they will have the increased fee. So this would just be where the fee would be level with city residents and Whitley County residents.
Beyond that, it would be higher.
Exactly. And it will be a significant amount of people who come in from outside the community. I know just in the people that I know, because again, I'm pretty involved with swimming in this area of the state, and we travel all over the Midwest for this. There are people who travel significant distances to go to these types of facilities. I know my wife and 4 kids go to the one in Valpo and the jury pool in Fort Wayne quite often during the summertime, because we don't have anything here like this. So
I know one of the selling points of that pool was going to be it was going to attract people from out of the county.
That's correct, yeah, well.
So your fee schedule, let's just say the county does not participate. It would be $200 for city, $300 for county. What would it be for Noble or Kosciuszko?
$300.
So they'd pay the same as the people in Southwell and Cherubusco would?
Yes, exactly.
We have a request, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I do see this as a quality of life project. I see it as a project and an opportunity to benefit the entire county. It was brought up at the last meeting that I may have a conflict of interest because I live in the city. I would state that it would be exactly opposite of that, because as a city resident, I would be under the $200 umbrella or whatever that fee is set at. So I look at this as a project and a quality of life project for the entire county. I would make a motion for a $10,000 donation to come out of seeded funds for this year, with the understanding that that would hold the rate for all county employees to that same rate as what city, not employees, residents, to what the same as the city residents would be from here forward, with the understanding, and no promises made and not part of this motion, that it would not necessarily continue next year, but you would be welcome to come back and ask for another donation or appropriation for next year.
We can't do that out of the seeded money. We can only authorize what the commissioners have done with the seeded plan. So if it goes to seeded, it has to come from the commissioners.
It was my understanding it could come out of seeded. So where would that money come from then? If we form my motion, where would the money come from? What can we take it from? Seated is the most appropriate place, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, then I think you need to talk to the commissioners.
If I understand, after reading the minutes of the meeting I missed, unfortunately, the commissioners did not recommend it. It didn't matter of a recommendation. They make a seeded plan every year, and it has to be in that plan. And then they come to us.
The ask at the time that we turned it down was a $200,000 for the year request.
You'd have to take a look.
Considerably more.
Yeah, so now you're going to get the same benefit for a 75% discount.
That was going to still be up to the commissioners if you're going to take it out of seeded.
We'd have to take it to a meeting.
Not that I wouldn't want to see you guys again.
I'm going to clarify about the conflict. It wasn't the fact that you lived in the city, because Glenn lived in the city. It was the fact that you're a city employee that I made that comment.
Oh, well, it still would be an invalid.
But I mean, that's the reason I did it. It wasn't the fact that you lived in the city.
I appreciate that, but it'd still be invalid because of the fact that having $200 membership to the pool wouldn't be any different if I was a city resident or a city employee. How much, I mean, just out of curiosity, we're talking about how much money is available from seeded that's not spoken for?
No, you guys plan it all, don't you?
We're required to spend 75%. And
Yeah,
we
sure.
try to hold over, because it is an economic development fund, that if something would come up, that we'd have a big company that would come in, that we have funds available to work, make some incentives or do something with larger companies.
And I think you also mentioned, and it was very important, about the issues that we have with the jail repair or not jail repair, courthouse repair, I think you made. But to add to that, we've also got issues at work release and jail that we don't know what the future holds and could need substantial funds for.
Right.
And on top of that also, we've got a general fund balance that isn't really very healthy, according to the state.
Were you asking for the cash balance or the remaining appropriation? Cash balance of, okay. Remaining balance of this year is 169. Appropriations.
So there's quite a bit there.
Is there other commitments out of that, what's balanced for this year? There are some things we haven't done yet.
I think the 169,000 is the commitments that we have still outstanding right now.
Well, I'd like to say I support this. I support this community project. I think it benefits the county as a whole. I've taken a lot of calls on it, and believe it or not, I really have taken calls on this, and some in opposition, others in favor. But I feel strongly that this is a great community project that I would like to see the county get behind and participate in. And I believe that this is an appropriate use of seeded dollars because it is community development. It can lead to economic development. It can be attractive to future businesses when they look at what does Columbia City offer and should we move here, because one of the things that businesses often consider when they relocate is What is there to do for our employees? What is attractive about Whitley County or other counties when they're making that decision? So oftentimes, we look to the commissioners for a favorable pass. We look to them to see what it is that they would like for council to do. So I guess what I would like to do is I would like to recommend to the commissioners that they strongly consider this and the impact, the positive impact that it could have on our community. And so I don't know if that needs to come in the form of a motion, but if it does, go ahead.
I was gonna say, Thor, do you wanna withdraw your motion? or
Do you want to amend your motion, withdraw your motion? We have a motion on the floor without a second.
Well, I'll just leave it and let it die, and then we can move forward, if there's no second.
Motion dies for lack of second. Any additional information, discussion?
Well, I'll move forward. I'd like to make a motion that we recommend a favorable pass to the commissioners to use a small portion of CDIT dollars to support the community project for the local pool.
I'll second that.
Put a number on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the number would be 10,000, and then they would be welcome to revisit the county on a yearly basis to ask for additional contributions.
We have a motion, and you second it?
I second it.
We have a motion and second. We have any additional discussion?
I have a question, and that is, for $10,000, are you going to be open to the fact of letting county people have it for the city rate?
Well, for, I guess, each year that we receive the $10,000, yeah. But if, like, it wouldn't be an indefinite fee equalizer if it was just $10,000.
My problem with that is.
So you're saying in the future, for the next 20 years or so, you're gonna be in here every year wanting $10,000?
No, actually, we just need $50,000. That we're asking for a $50,000 commitment.
You don't think you'll raise that on your own look, you raised $140,000 in 30 days, you don't think you can raise $50,000 in the time you start construction on that pavilion?
Well, we've already started, and I just, I don't think it's a matter of us not being able to raise more money. I think it's more of a request for the county to get behind this type of project, that there is going to be great benefits to all the residents of the county.
My problem with the multiple years is that we're not funding the pool, we're funding your maintenance.
Well, the money has to come from somewhere to this,
But you need it now, and if
So
we
we
do
would
it-
be fronting the money, in essence, that we would be hoping to get farther down in the future.
Well, I'm just saying that if you need the money now, when us passing a motion to give it to you 5 years down the road, that's just your maintenance, that's got nothing to do with building the thing.
Right, right.
Yeah, so we're looking, to help offset some of the expenses to build this pavilion.
I understand that.
Which, so if we have a commitment going forward.
Well, what you need is now, not 5 years.
Yeah, you can't build it with 5 year or 10 year.
Yeah, well, so we're
Money.
looking for a commitment for the 50,000, and we can spread that commitment over 5 years.
We have a motion and second on it. Do we have any additional discussion?
Well, I'm just gonna say the same thing I've always said on projects like this. I just don't think it's appropriate for a county government to be putting money into another government entity that's got the ability to raise funds in any way they wish. They can bond, they can raise taxes, they can do for many things that they can do to raise money. And I just don't think it's appropriate for us to do that when we have needs of our own. And I've said this before too, and I'll say it again, as you walk in the front door or the back door, etched in stone, it says Whitley County Government Center. It doesn't say Whitley County Foundation. We are a government organization, not a philanthropic organization.
Any other discussion?
No, the only thing I'll add is, on my chat, I think it's an economic development issue, which is what seeded money's for. But that's up to the commissioners, they have to see it that way.
Those in favor of the motion signify by your right hand.
Just to get them to look at it.
Opposed, the same.
And that just, motion is just simply a request to have them take a look at it and think about it.
So does that mean that the commissioners will not take a look at that?
Well, I don't think that's true. I think we'll, since it's a different amount for the ask, we'll talk about it. It's just,
Okay, so we can communicate then after, okay, great, thank you.
Well, I don't understand the bill. The vote failed 4-3, but the commissioners are gonna look at it, so I don't understand what we even
They
took a
just
vote
don't get a
for.
favorable
Well,
pass.
they-
It's just not for the favorable pass.
Right.
No,
Just
I don't-
table.
We were just asking them to take a look at it. That's what I'm
I
talking
guess
to.
requesting that they take a look at it and maybe make a recommendation. They still can make a recommendation.
So you guys are gonna look at it, it's not favorably from us.
They was asking for
$200,000.
I know, we may look at it differently as an
That's a
economic
motion,
development
second on
project.
the
I
floor.
don't know, it's just, we need
For
to,
them to take a
I'm
look.
just trying to understand.
They may approve $10,000.
Roy, you're next up on the agenda.
She isn't here. Oh, she didn't show up.
Brandon?
They're shaking his head no on $10,000 anyway. They gotta have the money now.
Good morning.
They want 50, they want 50.
Didn't get it.
I got some good news for you.
Unusual.
Well, we're doing what we can. I don't know what else to say about that. But, you know, we've seen throughout the years a lot of unfunded mandates for a lot of different things. And we now have what I'm saying is one of the best opportunities that we've seen in most, if not all, of our lifetimes. I'm gonna say not since the WPA in the 30s and 40s of Whitley County seeing an opportunity for funding like this. And we were awarded $670,000 from the Community Crossings Grant Fund. And that project that we submitted to NDOT for their consideration was for chip sealing, basically 200 miles of road. We did 100 miles this year, and we're planning on doing 100 miles next year.
Brandon, before you move on that, you said 100 this year and 100 next. But now that you got this new machine and the way it works and everything, is there any possibility you can do more than 100? I mean, didn't you quit in August sometime?
Well, sure we could. Right now, this year, we're in a lot better position than what we were a year ago. We're working right now on berming and culverts and ditching next year's roads. We weren't able to get all that work done for the 100 miles that we chip sealed this year. We did as much as we could. Well, we did get all the berming done. We didn't get all the culverts replaced that needed replaced.
Do you typically go into late September normally in a normal year of chipping and sealing or not? I know you quit this year, it seemed like kind of early, is I guess my
Because we
point.
got it done.
Yeah, but you got a new machine, but I just wondered, are you not thinking ahead that we can do more per year than 100 miles?
Well, it all comes down to money, Jim.
Well, I mean, apparently the money's there, isn't it, with the new gas tax raise and things?
Well, Brandon, doesn't it come down to heat? Well, yeah. I mean, you gotta have it hot outside.
But I mean, so August is typically, you just about have to stop.
Well,
I know we had a warm
yeah,
September.
You can't depend on September.
Yeah.
In fact, I learned this year, and it was interesting, when they would chip seal in an area that had trees on both sides, it didn't take like the next 100 feet. It had sun on it.
Well, I just saw them do a stretch, and it just went so quickly that I thought, maybe we're not doing as many as we can do now, we got the new machine.
You definitely have to have the outside conditions absolutely right.
Well, September was an exceptionally hot month, with,
It could have worked, but I don't think we planned on oil.
well, I didn't even think about the heat, I guess.
Yeah, heat's a big deal.
that and with the clay roads, you need to keep the ditches cleaned out and the culverts and everything, and you gotta do the basic work.
Well, yeah.
To go with it.
Drainage is the most important.
Yeah,
thing,
with
right?
clay, you gotta get the water out of there.
What we're also trying to do, we did a little bit of it this year, and we've got a lot more planned for next year, is to actually wedge and level these roads up. I mean, some of these roads that we chip sealed this year and last year are still pretty rough. And we were at that point in time, we were just, trying to put a tourniquet or a Band-Aid, whatever the case is, to, those roads were so cracked up, and, that water runs through those cracks and it turns the subgrade to mud, and that turns into huge, massive potholes, and so we're trying to get them sealed up.
Berming's pretty important in that too, isn't it, to let the water off the road?
Is critical. People don't like it because it tears their yard up, but one of the first yards that we did this year was mine, and I've got it on, I took a video, and I'll show anybody that wants to complain about their yard getting tore up. We'll put seed down, it'll come back. It is critical to get that water off the road. I've told people for years, when you drive down county roads and it's raining, and you see water standing in the road, chances are, not always, but there's a good chance that there's patch material underneath that. Because that water stands in the road, runs through the cracks, turns the subgrade to mud. Mud doesn't support traffic. So we got to get the water off the ditches. We got to cut the ditches. We got to get the water under the roads through the culverts, and you've got to get all that. Well, you don't have to. We could keep doing it the way we've done it for years. Just, go chip seal it and let the water go where it wants. But, I'm saying you need to get the roads prepped before you chip seal. And so that's the plan we're working. There's been, we've talked a lot about a lot of different things, whether it's highway or any other department, but one of the clauses in the 10-cent gas increase was that the first 70 million of part of it went to the state highway fund. So we haven't actually seen, and I said that back, it would be October before we saw the first full increase. And we did see an increase in September, a slight increase, but the 70 million to the state has been paid. So because the state's, their fiscal year is July 1st, so they had to get their money so they can operate. So and I wish, we were meeting a week later, because we'll probably get our MBH money like about the 5th or so.
Brenda, what, does some of this money need to go to bridges?
Does it?
Does it need to?
No.
Okay.
We're in pretty decent shape with bridges. We've replaced 2 bridges every year since '98. What I hear from, obviously our bridge inspection consultant is telling us you're in good shape, and I've heard from, we've had a couple different consultants that we're in good shape, we're doing better than other counties, and I've throughout the years at various times, I'll look at the sufficiency rating, or the average sufficiency rating, which is a complicated formula that they put a number on how good the bridge is. Our sufficiency rating has gone up 15 points in the last 15 years.
Oh, I knew we'd been working
Where
on it
others,
gradually, and I didn't know.
kind of stayed stagnant. Some counties haven't committed money to their bridges, or they pay out of different funds, and we have a Hume Bridge Fund, and it's healthy, and we've got a good plan, so. So, yeah, we've got, we're gonna meet with NDOT on the 17th and get the next step from them. We'll have to assign Commissioner will have to sign a contract with them. We'll have to provide copies of invoices and things for the materials that we've already purchased. This is a reimbursement or matching funds type of award, but, so, we will keep moving forward with that, and now we're Berman, like I say, Berman ditching culverts for next year's 100 miles.
A while back, you were wanting to charge farmers for tearing up the roads where they did.
Well, yeah, we've tried that. We've sent them bills. Some of them have paid. I mean, it's only a couple $100 for, some of our time and material. It's more of a trying to get their attention to lift their plow up before they jump fields, I mean, if we had a call that farmer was hauling manure and tore up the road. Well, I mean, that was because the road wasn't constructed well enough to handle the traffic. I'm not gonna charge them for that.
No, I was
But
thinking.
when you're negligent and use your equipment to tear our road up, we don't need any help like that. And like I say, the first one was just terrible, and they ripped through the ditch, and badly ripped across the road and ripped through the ditch because they was jumping fields. And I think that one was, $400 or $500, and they paid it no problem. Since then, I think most of them have been a couple $100.
I just wondered if you were still pursuing it.
We had 4 last year and 3 this year. That
You got 4.
Oh, yeah, I heard we got another one, yeah. Which might be, I haven't gotten the details, a repeat offender might be one that didn't pay the first time we sent them an invoice. What am I gonna do? Take them to small claims court? I'm just trying to get their attention.
Yeah, well, I understand. I just didn't know if you were still doing it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We also received another grant, and that is for railroad crossing safety improvements, new signs and new pavement markings. If you've driven across any of our county railroad crossings, the pavement markings have either been chip sealed over or just, faded and worn. So it was time to make those improvements anyways, but the state offers a grant program, so got to give credit to Beth Shellman, our office manager. She did all the legwork, got all the quotes, and submitted all the packet, and NDOT awarded us another grant, separate fund, but $11,795. So the commissioners signed the grant agreement yesterday, got that in the mail, and again, they'll send us more information. We got to wait for a PO and the funds to be released, and probably next spring is when we'll look to do that with. We had planned, we had planned this year to do some subdivision paving, basically just like an 1.5-inch overlay. We had picked 2 subdivisions. One was Stable Acres out on State Road 14, which had been, the majority of it had been paved about 3 years ago, but for whatever reason, the cul-de-sacs didn't get paved. So we had planned on finishing that job. And then Hickory Lanes is an old subdivision that the roads are deteriorated, need something done, and we figured that for the money, we could, again, just do like 1.5 inches of surface. If anybody's ever been out to Sherwood Forest.
On 205?
Yeah, 205 by 300 East.
Yeah.
We did the same thing at Sherwood Forest out off of Raber Road last year, and it turned out really nice. And it was one of those roads that hadn't been touched for 20 years, and same with this one. We've got enough money to fund one of those projects, so I didn't have time with everything that's happened in the last couple months with me. Didn't have time to get the timing right to ask for an additional at this meeting, but I wanted to see if you would be willing to commit about $20,000 for additional appropriation for next month, so I can get the contractor ready to schedule that.
Just a straw vote, same with Port.
Yeah, I'll bring because we got to advertise for an additional, and waiting on this disbursement for the increased amount. I mean, we'll get, later this week, we'll get money, right? And then they usually come in on the 5th. So, I mean, there'll be money.
You're just talking about moving around within your budget?
Well, I'm talking about an additional, because I've got, you know, it seems like it's about the end of the year. I've got a couple funds that, like for FICA and Medicare, I'm gonna be about $4,000 short on that. And that's either bad math on my part, or we did add another employee. And then also with perf, we're gonna be about 8,500 short. I'm gonna transfer within a series everything I can, but I don't wanna go crazy transferring a bunch of money right now. I'll do that, you know, before the end of the year. And I mean, I'm figuring come December meeting, I'll be back with whatever additionals that we need to close things out for the year. I know our group insurance, we're gonna be quite a bit short on it, but I'm gonna, again, transfer, like sick time payout. I mean, I'm guessing nobody's gonna leave, so we won't have any sick time payout. I've got 14,800 in that one, so I can use that to transfer within that series to fund those shortages. But I don't have enough in that 10,000 series to do all the transfers without coming to you for something, whether it's an additional or transfer from another series. Getting the end of the year, we had a lot of repairs on trucks and tractors. We had tractors down most of the summer, and so we're running short on stone and gravel. You know, we can quit buying stone and gravel, or I can keep going. And I'm still gonna. I'm not. Trust me, I'm not going willy-nilly, just buying everything I can. But I'm guessing. Well, we can't just stop working. You know, we got to keep working. We got stuff to do.
Brandon, have you got some salt and stuff left over from last winter that you don't have to buy as much this time?
Well, we've got, no guarantees on that.
Yeah.
We'll see what Mother Nature does to us, but yes, we have salt.
Got some left.
Yeah, we have probably a couple 100 ton. And we signed up for the state bid. We got those results back last week, I think. It come in at 56 and change a ton, so it was a little bit cheaper actually than last year. So we're, we've got that 300 to 500 ton is what we're committed to. We're basically out of money on tires. Some will say we drove the tires off them trucks this year, getting stuff done. And then garage supplies, we're running short. That's, like I say, we've had a couple of trucks. One truck had to have the motor rebuilt. Our mowing tractors have, had their 12, 13, 14 years old, and they.
It looks like it too.
Yeah. Well, we've got in our plan for 18 to buy another one, so that'll help get more done. And so I would like for a straw vote for the 20,000 by 2 minutes, so we can get that subdivision paved before the end of the paving season, and then the other stuff is kind of heads up. I'm going to be back, and there'll be better news as far as I'll be able to give you better numbers in November and December, and I'm sure I'll be back next month, and I'll definitely be here in December, and so we can get our budget finalized for end of the year. I'm going to ask again, and I might ask again. I'd still like at least for you to consider getting us another driver. I mean, it's good, the one that you give us earlier in the year. We're going to be buying more equipment, trying to get more done in a shorter period of time, and you can only put so much material down and run so many pieces of equipment with the workforce that you got, so. Again, I'm not formally asking for that today, because it would take, does that take an advertisement? Well, for an additional appropriation, since the budget's finalized, it would have to be an additional appropriation, but I just request that you know, consider that, because I'll come ask, and you can say yes or no, but I'm gonna come ask, just let me know. And then finally, I've been struggling this year worse than ever with utility companies and cutting our right-of-ways and doing work without permits, and I mean, it's just blatant. I mean, they come and ask, what do we need to do, and then I catch them out there working and they don't have a permit. You know, our drainage board has set standards that when they're crossing county drains, they need to be 4 foot below a tile and 6 foot below the bottom of an open ditch, so that when we go maintain our tile, we're not getting into their utilities. And we've had companies that they come in, they get the permits, but they never share the information with the contractor, and so the contractor comes in and runs fiber across the county and comes in over our tiles, or, you know, foot under them or whatever. So the drainage board is very close to recommending an ordinance to the commissioners for fees and fines for drain crossings. And in conjunction with that, well, I've actually been working on rewriting our highway specifications for a couple years. It's just kind of been one of those spare time projects, and with the drainage board moving forward with their fees and fines, I'm motivating myself to get these highway specs finalized, which also includes fees and fines for working in the right-of-way. Drainage board and, you know, all of our engineering staff all agree the best way to do this is a light fee and a heavy fine. So what I believe what they're going to approve, they haven't formally approved, is a $50 fee and a $500 fine. So I'm going to have to take this stuff to the fee committee, and then ultimately the council needs to approve any fees, or, so again, this is just a heads up.
Get teeth in it. Make sure
Well, and
you
that's
can-
where the fine comes in.
Well, I know, but there's more than just serving a paper. You gotta put some
Yeah.
teeth in it. You better have backing someplace else to get it.
Well, I mean,
Fees and permits and all that's all right. Lord knows I go through a lot of permits. But if you don't have somebody out there that's willing to enforce it, you might as well forget it.
well, trust me, I know that. The more rules you have, the more rules you have to enforce. But when you don't have any rules, like right now, we have no teeth right now. We have nothing, I mean, to stop these people. At least if we have the fines, if we assess a fine and they don't pay it, I mean, go see the judge, I guess. Again, I think this is something that's just gonna get people's attention. Hopefully, at least. I'd rather never have to fine anyone. I'd rather they just comply. But like I say, when you don't have any rules, there's nothing to it. So that's all I've got. I've surely entertained any questions about anything that I've talked about or anything else that.
The 20,000 that you're requesting.
Oh, yeah.
The 20, where is that going to come from? Out of within your budget?
Highway.
Highway.
Well, it would be an additional, but from MVH.
It's from your funds, so.
Right, the highway fund.
It's not general fund,
Not
that's
seeded, not cum cap, not county general.
Do you just want a general consensus on the okay on it, and you're going to present the
I'll do
additional
it.
Appropriation at a later date?
In November, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions on that? Those in favor of that, signify right hand. Opposed, the same. One quick thing, Chad, you have to leave at 10:15?
Yes, that's correct.
Jana has stated we need to rescind the 3% increase from the last meeting officially in a motion because that denied and stated they would not do the additional duties at the end of that last meeting. And I believe you were second on Thor's motion on it. What does the council want to do in reference to that?
I think it probably should be rescinded.
So, I concur.
I would, Mark's here. My mindset on this is I would like to encourage the sheriff for your employees to take that compensation and take those job responsibilities and do it, knowing that that isn't a permanent answer, but that we've motioned what you've asked us for, and we're gonna put some very serious work and consideration into that. So I would be against rescinding it based on the fact that I would hope that we could extend a bridge here and that they could
Under
take up
legal
the matter.
advice, they're not to take that pay.
Okay. Well, that's,
What you're to hear.
my concern.
I really am leaning toward your recommendation, but I will feel much better, I think, if I jumped on this thing and I don't like it, and I don't like what I put, the position I put you in 2 months ago, I don't. But I just hope that we get all our answers answered and we can do the right thing and not be kicking this thing around. I don't like that.
I'm going to tell you, we've spoke to, Ed's not going to answer any questions
Well,
towards the pay.
And that's, you're probably right.
And back.
There's still questions, though, I guess.
Back when the LOIT came about, you said it wasn't a free-for-all spending. I don't think I've asked for anything extra out of LOIT, Jim. I mean, I try to watch it, you know.
I know that. Yeah, but I really appreciate the work you put in this, because you really answered a lot of questions for me with what you just did. But I still think there's questions that maybe Ed can't answer, I don't know. But I think what's one more month to do it right than to keep doing something wrong?
I'll tell you, and it's going to sound kind of harsh, one more month, I've lost 2 employees in the last 4 days. I've had 2 confinement officers hurt in a 4-day stretch in fights. I have so much on my plate. I'll be honest, I can't do this job. I'm going to get it accomplished, but it's pulling me away from my sheriff duties, which are under statute. And I really thought the presentation showed the job was valued at that today. So, I mean, I don't have anything, I can't say anymore. I just have a lot going on at that sheriff's department with as many prisoners as we have in there and employee issues, because people don't want to work in the jail anymore, Jim. I had one come in Saturday night, started his shift, put everything in a box and walked back out.
Mark, I want to say, if this packet would have been something with all that information that we'd have had right from the get-go, it probably could have eliminated, or potentially could have eliminated some of this process. But I want to be fair to the process, and I think I even expressed with you the other day my dissatisfaction with getting packets and information usually on Friday before we have a Tuesday meeting. I think that needs to be addressed, and I think that would help with these situations. There's a lot of great information there. And again, I want to do the right thing. I want to make the right decision. I want to digest that information and make a decision based on that. So no one's trying to, I appreciate what you put into it.
Well,
And I think if they had that before, it'd have been, and
It
it
feels like
had
you
time.
guys don't trust me. All that information is on Indiana Gateway for government units. I didn't make any of those figures up. I mean, I brought you everything. State statute, like I said, gives the job duties, which I listed, that have to be done. I don't know what else we can learn and why we can't move forward today.
Mark, in other counties, some other counties, is dispatch and the sheriff's department entirely separate?
There are a few that are going to, like, we like to call them standalone or their way, like DeKalb counties.
What do you think of that? Because I think at some point we may have to do that here.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't think I'm educated enough. I went to visited one over my career so far, educated enough to say the benefits or cons of that right now. It is being done, but I don't know what the benefits and cons are against it, so.
Well, it just looks to me like it would be smoother to not have you even involved in dispatch.
I think and I don't say this to be rude, but I think one of the advantages is there's no partial, they deal with emergencies regardless of who it is. They're not necessarily, you're not their boss necessarily, so they don't feel responsible necessarily to one agency.
Right, they have a board, I do know that.
Yeah.
that runs it.
I think
That's
it's just
the
something
biggest
we should think
advantage.
about.
That's the biggest advantage.
Well, it'd be essentially just creating another department, a communications department.
But you would have to get the other entities aboard, that's the
Yes,
fight.
yeah.
So the information that Janet has presented to us stays the same for lack of motion?
I wasn't here, so I can't do anything for him.
We need to rescind that, don't we?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to rescind that.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Technically, is that correct, since Thor made the original motion?
Anybody can make a motion to rescind anything.
We have a motion and
It
second.
would
We have
stand
any
on it.
additional discussion?
The issue would stand on its own, just on how we move forward.
Those in favor of the motion signify by your right hand. Opposed, the same.
I abstained.
Bill abstained for, he was not here. George, you're up.
Okay, I don't have a lot here. I'd like to bring forward the tax sale is October 16th at 10 a.m. Commissioners, right now, we've got a couple of big issues going on. We're doing background work for the ag zoning changes that are going on right now for the CAFOs, CFOs. We're trying to meet with as many people as we can and digest the information that we've got on that, because we know that that's going to be coming for us. We're also looking at options for reducing the jail population. We have ongoing issues with the jail population, so we're trying to look at alternatives for that. We've got some good alternatives we're looking at right now, but it's going to, it's still going to be costly, but it won't be the 40 million that we're looking at for a new jail. So we're kind of a little warning that will be coming to you eventually here within the next couple of months, because we have a jail task force now that we're working with, and the task force is working with the state in determining what alternatives we have. John and I are on the task force, and I think it's a great committee. We're moving forward, and it's an issue that we've got to face, because we're 13 jailers behind right now, and we have to deal with that. How do we take care of that, knowing that we can't even find jailers at this point? So we're working on that, and then I was going to bring forward to you Michael Frizzell on the personnel issue on the job descriptions. He's willing to meet with us by online the next meeting if you want to move forward with that. So I've talked to him. He's been watching our meetings. He's keeping up with things. So if you're willing to do that for your next meeting, maybe spend 10-15 minutes talking to him, or whatever you need to ask questions. Is that?
Yes, I think that's
a
very good idea.
Okay. So I'll get that set up for you. That's just about it.
County Health Fair coming up on the 26th. You want to make mention of that?
Right. Janice's been sending that out, so I'll let her talk about that.
We also have the minutes from our last meeting, need to be approved.
I move that we approve as presented.
Motion and second. Those in favor signify by your right hand. Any additional from anybody within the?
I abstained again.
No additional? Councilman Banks, Chad, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Thor?
No.
Jim? Glenn?
No.
Kim? Bill?
Yeah, I think there's no issue.
holiday schedule, but the only thing that changed was, one of the holidays changed to Easter. We have Easter off. That was the only change for the holiday schedule for the 4 and 2 employees. And the commissioners, I believe, approved it yesterday.
So we need to approve it?
You approved all the other ones with,
I'll make a motion that we approve the 4-2 holiday schedule for all employees that work the 4-2 schedule, with the only change from last year being the amendment for having an Easter holiday this year.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor signify by your right hand. Opposed, the same. Anybody have any additional? Meeting adjourned. We'll get you out of here, Chad.
Thank you.
Just barely.
Don't forget.